Hi, I'm WTOP Entertainment editor Jason Fraley, and we are here with the cast and creator of The Wife, an awesome new movie coming out in August. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us.
I really enjoyed it. I want to start with the creator here. So when I'm sitting down to watch it, you read the synopsis and you start watching it. I'm thinking it's going to be sort of like a, Ingmar Bergman, Wild Strawberries, the professor going off to get his honorary degree and, all the journey there. But then you're thinking, wait a minute, it's called The Wife. There's another secret going on here. So I don't want to spoil that, but take our listeners into how you decided to pen that idea to begin with. What made you think of, an idea of a professor going to get a Nobel Prize, but this wife tagging along that might have a secret of her own?
No, it's based on a novel, Meg Wolitzer's The Wife, so it's there in the book, and then Jane Anderson is doing an adaptation of the book to a screenplay. So it was very clever written. So it was just to follow that map that the script are in the best way.
But what about the book caught you and made you want to make this, say, that's going to be my movie next?
The script was, I thought it was beautiful. I understand it. I understand the universe of it. So it was easy to get touched by what's happening through that journey we are following those characters. It was a love affair to read it.
Awesome. Well, there's lots of love affairs in this movie, too. So, Ms. Close, admirer of your work for many years, like everybody. But
Since you were 4.
oh my gosh, wow. Was that Cruella that just popped out? Yeah, before the interview started, she woofed at me. So, wait, wow. You got any other woofs in here? Woof woof. You started a trend with that. We'll get back to that later. Everyone's doing the live action Disney now, but you kicked that off. No, but in terms of your role here, what I love, talk about your relationship with your co-star Jonathan Pryce. There's so much. I loved how you guys can. In one scene, you're arguing about an affair, but then all of a sudden you get a phone call about a daughter from your daughter, and suddenly you put it right back on. Talk about how you guys crafted that and why that's actually realistic to a couple.
Oh, if that's one of the things that I really, really love about the script. There's several moments like that, and it's just, to me, real life. And also they've been together for a long time, and even though there are these very serious undercurrents and they've had a very serious argument, the fact is that they're grandparents for the first time, and it's very exciting. I know what it was. But I loved, again, the moment when we have the big fight at the end, and then at one point I say, I just want to get out of this dress. And he helps me unzip it. I mean, that, to me, again, they're people who have been together a long time. They're down in the bar, she gets a little drunk, and you see them up and dancing very sexily together up in their hotel room. We're very complex creatures, human beings, and many things can be going on at the same time, and it doesn't mean that any of them are not truthful.
Yeah. How did you try it? We'll get to you in 1 second. But that sparked me something. Did you, in terms of the complex creatures, and I like how you guys, obviously the script too, but you as a director, weave in those flashbacks with them at a younger age, and how, you guys are jumping on the bed as, in present time, but then in the flashbacks you also see them jumping in the bed. How important was it for you to establish those echoes, setup, payoff, or sometimes it's payoff and then you see the setup because it's a flashback, but why is those echoes of the relationship in the past so important to who they are now, and how did you create those echoes?
I think it's so interesting because when they are younger, they are looking forward to what will come in life. They're creating a life, they're creating a family, they're creating a working career. So it's people with a direction into the future. But now when we see them as a major couple, they're reflecting over that life that has been. So it's two different forces, and I like that they can be mirrored into each other. That's beautiful, I think.
Absolutely. And your character, Mr. Slater.
Hello, sir.
the biographer who's a little bit nosy and pestering him on the plane. A little obnoxious, yeah. But not in real life, though. No, he's a lovely gentleman. But how did you... how did you actually set out to I mean, on the one hand, your character almost is the vessel for some of that exposition where the secret starts to come out. You're starting to pry into there.
Yes.
But how did you also play him where he's a little bit Weasley, you know? But we still like him, and we want to believe the secrets he's uncovering. So we're almost with him as a journalist side.
Sure.
But we also kind of don't like him, too, because he's prying. So how do you sort of balance that?
It's tricky. That was always in the script, that there was something a little off about this guy, that there was something a little odd and Andy Warhol about him. Just a quirky guy who gets in your face and is annoying and irritating, which, I think there's journalists can be that way at times, and no offense to journalists, but you get a hold of a bone and you don't want to let it go. And the great thing is that my character's name is Nathaniel Bone. So
she's gonna start woofing again in a second. So.
Yeah, there's a lot
Stop with all the bone talk.
A lot of references going on, but yeah, this is the type of guy who if he gets a glimpse or has a little shred of evidence that there is some secret that needs to be uncovered, he will not let it go.
I think when I think of Nathaniel Bone, I think of somebody who's incredibly ambitious, and he just wants to get a story that will make him famous. And I think that's one of the most off-putting things about him that people like Joan and Joe would think.
Yeah. But then at the same time,
his ambition is just written all over him.
Right. Yeah.
You almost wear that on your sleeve in a way.
Sure.
The character,
no, there's a drive, and I think there's certainly an admiration for Castleman. I mean, he's the guy. He is a writer, and he's now receiving the Nobel Prize, and I mean that's the biggest thing he could possibly be receiving. So I think there's a certain amount of probably envy and jealousy and a where's mine kind of attitude, and he finds his possible where's mine in the relationship between these two people that is so complex.
And so, I also find, and we're talking about your character now, that some people get a pleasure of tearing down established
or uncovering the truth.
Yes.
See, it's interesting when you play a character like this. There is that interpretation of a guy, who's out for himself, which is absolutely true. I mean, there's no denying that. But at the same time, I think there is a maybe it's just because I'm playing the character, but yeah, I have to defend this guy. I mean, he's trying to uncover something that these two people have been dealing with for a lifetime. Certainly a huge secret and something that they've both buried. And there's also, I think, a certain amount of resentment towards Jonathan's character. I mean, this is a guy who, he's been up to no good. He's been childish. He's been infantile in a lot of respects. Right. He's a little rude and a little aggressive, certainly to me. And he's not necessarily nice to his wife in a lot of respects. So he's not a guy. My personal feeling is that is something that needs to be revealed, whether it's through me, which for my character would be ideal.
I love that you're on the defense.
Hey, we all fight for our characters.
He's that character, but they're complex.
In that scene, which is so much fun, is that we're flirting.
Yes, sure.
And we're smoking and we're drinking and
we're out at the bar. But listen, I mean, to get to be a part of a movie like this and to work with somebody like Jonathan Pryce and Glenn Close, I mean, I've been a huge admirer my whole career of both these actors, and Bjorn, your work is fantastic. So I was thrilled, and to get to play a character like this was great.
Absolutely. Now this next one, let's be careful. I don't want spoilers because it involves the main, crux of the movie here. But I guess the way that we can get around it is overall macro it thematically, especially where we are in Hollywood now and in the world today. Me Too, everything. How does that movie actually fit into the times that we live in now, where because of a patriarchal society in the past, maybe the wife didn't get as much credit as the artist husband. I mean, Hitchcock's wife was said to do a lot of the rewriting, and we saw it. The Amy Adams movie Big Eyes kind of dealt with similar concept with the painting. But to you, why was it important to make this movie sort of in the context of the now, and how powerful is it now, especially with what's going on?
But I think you never know when you do a film. You never know, because we shot it in 2016, in the autumn. Me Too wasn't there. Yeah. And suddenly, the last autumn, 2017, the Me Too was there. Yeah. So And then now we have a crisis in the Nobel Academy in Sweden. Wow. They won't give any Nobel Prize this year to any writer. So you never know where the film will land, but hopefully it connects in ways that you can't imagine. So for me, I think it's connect very much to that time we are living in now. Mm-hmm.
And it took Jane Anderson adopted the film, adopted from the book 14 years ago. Right. And the fact that it took such a long time to get this movie made is a statement in itself. Right. The movie is called The Wife. Mm-hmm. We could not find one American actor of stature who would be in a movie called The Wife.
Wow.
It took a Brit. Am I wrong?
That's telling right there.
You're right.
Yeah. So just the fact that number one, it was made, and number two, it's called The Wife and it's being made is, we fit right in there.
When he's giving that big speech at the end, the emotions on your face are, I mean, you can tell you almost want to get up and walk out of the room, but you want to also, put on the face so you can hear him speak. You've already said don't thank me during that speech for reasons that we find out in the plot, but that we won't spoil. But what all is going through you when you're acting that scene and you're sitting there? I can almost see it bubbling over, and you do get up and leave after, but what is going on in your head during that part? You know all the work that your characters, you know all the work she's put in over the years and all that she's been there for him. What's going through your face in that moment?
Let's see, there are two moments. There are ones at the dinner, which I think is the one you're talking, and then the one at the actual ceremony itself.
Yeah.
So I think, everything seems to be a spoiler, but
we can cut it out.
Yeah, but for me, it's like there's a moment when something almost cracks inside of her, where she just can't. It's unbearable. She can't be in the room. She cannot be in the room. She can't be. I said part of it anymore.
Yeah.
She.
What about just more internally, as the artist and writer that she is and wanted to be? How soul crushing is that her husband seems to get so much recognition in a society when she is not able to, even though she arguably is more talented. I'm dancing around stuff.
Yeah, you are. I don't know if I can really answer that without talking about the real situation. When we've already given it away.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, let's just suffice to say that she deserves a little more credit. Let's say, than she's been getting. All right, well, I know we gotta leave here soon. So I just wanted to thank you guys for making a great movie. We see so much of the same stuff all the time, and the action movies, especially this time of the year, it's so nice to see this character piece and seeing you guys duke it out. So I appreciate that.
I just want to say what was thrilling about shooting both those scenes was I felt that Jonathan and I, even though he was way up on a stage and I was sitting in a chair, that we both were thinking exactly the same thing. And it was, and that's his performance at both those moments is just very, very powerful.
Absolutely.
Well, as we're getting to go home, I have to ask about, here's my awkward segue, ready? This movie, you're playing a character that is ignored, and my favorite one is the character that would not be ignored. That's the best I could do. Wow. Alex Forrest, that was a stretch.
Great callback.
There we go.
Very nice.
Fatal Attraction, man, come on. It still scares us. Last year was like the 30th anniversary, right?
That was a big change.
How
was it the 30th anniversary?
Was 87? Yeah, it was 2017, yeah.
Wow.
The Big Chill was 83, I believe, yeah. Well, and The Natural was 84. I mean, you had a great, Dangerous Liaisons was 88.
I was pregnant during the reshoots when I was doing all that stuff in the bathtub.
Really?
Yeah,
you were
after
pregnant?
that I found out I was pregnant.
Wow.
So Annie's seen a lot of action even before she...
So how do you do that with the bunny boiler, boiling your own bunny?
No,
but memories of that really quick, and Adrian directing, and just working across Mike Douglas, man. That was, in this movie, your husband's cheating all the time, but I think that movie, do you think that inspired a whole generation to be like, whoa, I'm not messing with this?
I think actually you can't imagine the amount of men who have come up to me, say you scared the shit out of me, and women who said you saved my marriage.
All of a sudden monogamy became very popular.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, hopefully this movie might save a few marriages too. All right, so thank you so much. Again, it's called The Wife. It comes out in August, and everyone check it out. I really enjoyed it. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
This is great.
Thank you for having us.
Fun.
Woof, woof.